Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, June 30, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section, but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the that's been like in your year recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us see what was forecasted for the month of June, considering that today is the last day of June. We need to see if it's actually verified. So the CFS right here actually forecasted an increase in rainfall during the month of June. We see the greens that represents maybe up to 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. Did that actually verify? I don't think so. We had some rainfall. We had a few tropical waves here and there, but nothing significant that we can all remember and say that yes, June definitely delivered in terms of rainfall. Yes, we got rainfall, but nothing very robust for sure. But we need to highlight what is being forecasted for July 2025 by the CFS. It's a bit disappointing. We see a lot of yellows, gold, that represents below normal rainfall here on the climate forecast system. The CANSIPS is showing contrast. We see rainfall above normal rainfall at that in the slight greens. The NMME is showing contrast as well regarding when being compared to the CANSIPS. But I guess that you can say we have some agreement with the CFS and the NMME model. Below normal rainfall expected, very interesting. The CARICOF on the other hand for Jamaica for July, and it's a combination of June, July and August. We still see Jamaica shaded in the white. That represents normal rainfall. It's going to be very interesting to see how all of this unfolds. We know that usually what these climate models are showing is not 100% set in stone, but we do have to pay close attention to what they are showing. On the other hand, the fact that we're heading into July now, we're looking at the Atlantic hurricane and tropical storm activity based on data from 1944 to 2020. And yes, we usually receive an uptick in July, but it's more so in the middle to the latter part of July for sure, not really the beginning of July. It's very interesting that we just had another system formulate and it dissipated, and we have a brand new code yellow over there off the southeast coast of the US. So we'll see exactly what takes place. Taking a look at the tropical and subtropical cyclone points of origin based on data from 1851 to 2023, we can see that for the time period from July 1 to July 10, we have had a lot of systems formulating across the Atlantic, some across the main development region. All of these yellow dots represent where we've seen a tropical storm formulate, and we see that most of them have been pushing towards the west, if not the west northwest, into the Caribbean. Some of them formulating in the Gulf, in the southwestern Atlantic as well, and we see a lot of them right here across the southern portions of Mexico or to the south of Mexico, and we see that most of them are pushed off towards the west northwest. It's going to be very interesting to see how the next 10 days actually go. Will we actually get something to formulate off the southeast coast of the United States? We just have to stay updated to see exactly what unfolds. And the typical tracks and origins definitely are showing consensus with what usually takes place. We see some of them coming in from the Eastern Caribbean, from the main development region, coming into the Gulf, if not off the southeast coast of the US for sure. But regarding the sea surface temperatures, we're looking at the skin of the ocean here, and we see that it is shaded in yellows, oranges, and reds that represents above normal sea surface temperatures, maybe all the way from 1 to maybe 3 degrees Celsius above normal. We see a lot of very warm sea surface temperatures in the upper latitudes of the Atlantic right here of the east coast of the US. And we also see that there's a lack of El Nino and a lack of La Nina. So it's definitely neutral-like conditions right now. We've had neutral-like conditions when we had Hurricane Beryl last year. So could we get another Beryl-like system this year? Well, not necessarily, no, considering that it's almost a couple days to when it actually formulated. July 3rd was when it actually hit Jamaica, the 3rd day of July. And it is almost the 1st day of July right now, and nothing is out there across the main development region coming across. So either way, we know that if all of this year was filled in with a lot of yellows, oranges, reds, it would be considered an El Nino, or have more systems formulating in this era, thus causing more upper level wind shear across the Atlantic and the Caribbean, tearing the thunderstorms apart. So we're basically in a neutral-like pattern, and La Nina-like pattern also favors this kind of activity. So more upward motion across the Atlantic is expected, even although we've been getting a lot of systems formulating right here to the southwest of Central America, to the south of Mexico. It's only a matter of time before all of this shuts off, and most of the activity is focused either on the Western Pacific side of things or the Atlantic side of things. And it's not only about how warm the waters are, the skin of the ocean, but the deeper we go into the ocean. This map right here is the ocean heat content. All of the greens, yellows, oranges represents how warm the waters are the deeper we go. And we said the most deep warm water is in and around Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, the Western Caribbean in general. And if we actually get a tropical system to sit on top of this, yes, it's going to be causing more of a cold wake on the surface of the ocean, but clearly it's going to be having a lot of deep warm water to work with, so it's going to be churning up and spinning up even more warm water to strengthen the systems for sure. All right, so we need to highlight some expert insight. We have Andy Hazelton right here. He stated today, by the way, he's actually an associate scientist at the University of Miami, and from time to time he makes some accurate posts about the Atlantic hurricane season. So if you aren't following him as yet, you need to fix that. So he stated in his most recent post, the East Pacific will continue to be active over the next 10 days, with Flossie likely strengthening into a hurricane and another 1 to 2 storms potentially following. The West Pacific also looks to get busier, as several systems could form in a monsoon trough. Looks like we could have an MGO event amplifying in phases 4 to 5 as well. So I would expect the Pacific to be favored overall for the next few weeks. This is going to result in a hostile environment over the Atlantic for much of July, dominated by subsidence and sheer, almost an El Nino-like pattern for now. I would expect any notable development, if there is any, to occur in the subtropics, perhaps off of stalled fronts or from other non-tropical origins. We'll see if things change as we head towards the peak of the season. And he highlighted the spaghetti model plots right here, showing where something could formulate, a lot of them right here off the coast of western or southern Mexico, and even on the Western Pacific side of things, in and around Japan, China, we see a lot of L's that represents low pressure and the possible paths that they could take. So it's only a matter of time before the Western Pacific actually wakes up as well. He also highlighted the MGO, basically a weather phenomenon where we have more rising air across specific parts of the globe, thus fueling thunderstorms to formulate and becoming areas of low pressure, tropical depressions, tropical storms. And as of right now, he stated that it's the phases in the Western Pacific, basically the Pacific in general, that's where the rising air should be expected. And he also highlighted the fact that there's going to be a lot of strong upper level wind shear across the Atlantic. So we have wind shear across the Caribbean, not to mention the dry air, the Saharan dust for sure. Definitely keeping things at bay. This map is going as far as July 15th, so gonna be quite quiet for July for sure. Nothing like last year at all. Taking a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook that came out at 7:20 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:20 p.m. Jamaica time, we can see that we still have that area of the southeast coast of the U.S. that has a 20% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. We can see the moisture right here associated with it right here across the northeastern Gulf. Lots of thunder, lightning taking place across section of Georgia and Florida. I know that if something should formulate, the next name on the list is Chantal. But let us read what the Hurricane Center stated. Let us read what they've stated in their latest post. A frontal boundary is expected to stall and weaken off the southeast U.S. coast late this week. An area of low pressure could develop from the weakening front by the weekend over the Atlantic waters of the southeast U.S., over Florida, or over the eastern Gulf. Some gradual tropical or subtropical development could occur thereafter as the low moves a little. And we said they've given the system a 0% chance of cyclone formation within the next 2 days and a 20% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. On the eastern Pacific side of things, we still are monitoring Tropical Storm Flossie and that area that has a 30% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days to the south of Mexico. As of right now, we don't see that yellow area, but we do see Tropical Storm Flossie right here. A lot of shower and thunderstorm activity associated with it. Look how huge this system is. Burnt off the activity right here to the south of Mexico for sure. Coastal areas of Mexico definitely getting in on some amount of weather, some rainfall. They've been getting in on it, but the core of the system definitely out to sea. I'm sure that they're glad that they're not getting the brunt of it like what they had with Hurricane Eric. And we see the definite track right here from the Hurricane Center. Definitely expected to push out towards the northwest. It is currently moving to the northwest at 12 miles per hour. It's expected to become an H, that's hurricane status, as soon as tomorrow. So we see that by 12 p.m. it should be a hurricane. So that means by tomorrow morning, if not tonight, definitely going to be a hurricane for sure. And the more northwest it pushes, it's expected to downgrade by Thursday back to a storm, by Friday back to a tropical depression. We see how far the tropical storm winds go out. Definitely not far enough to cause some crazy wind damage across coastal Mexico, but we see that we have tropical storm watches in the yellows and tropical storm warnings. I know that a lot of that has to do with the rainfall that's expected from this system. As of right now, the system is packing maximum sustained winds of 65 miles per hour. So that makes the system up there, maybe close to medium range tropical storm, a bit closer to hurricane status than to tropical depression status for sure. And if we take a look at the actual rainfall that's still expected to come, look at this, the greens into the yellows, that represents 2 all the way up to 6 inches of rainfall, and even more than 6 inches of rainfall in some isolated spots, especially where the mountains are located for sure. So there could definitely be some flash flooding, some mudslides coming out. And we see that the probability of tropical storm force winds still more so out to sea. So lots of ships, if they're actually out there, definitely getting on those high waves for sure. And we see that the track has definitely been on point thus far, pushing off towards the northwest, paralleling the Mexican coast. Not looking like it's going to be coming inland at all, just like what the models have been predicting. On another note, we need to read what the Hurricane Center has stated regarding that code yellow right here. They've stated an area of low pressure is forecast to develop several hundred miles offshore of southwestern Mexico late this week. Environmental conditions appear conducive for some gradual development of the system. Thereafter, while it moves generally west-northwestward, we see that they've given the system a 0% chance of cyclone formation within the next 2 days and a 30% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. So could we have the next name on the list? That is Gil. We just have to wait to find out. Alright, so on the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, they're finally highlighting something. We have a code yellow right here to the east of the Philippines. something could formulate within the next 7 days. As of right now, the infrared satellite imagery showing the clouds associated with what could formulate. As of right now, nothing organized taking place. But we do see a lot of moisture starting to take shape. We see Japan right here. We see the North and South Korea right here. China, Taiwan, the Philippines. It's going to be lighting up, especially given what the expert said on Twitter. That was Handy Hazelton. Let us see exactly what takes place over the next week or two. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that we have a trough right here across Florida, and that is the trough of low pressure that could possibly develop. We see a tropical wave that is currently across Jamaica, pushing off towards the west. Another tropical wave affecting northern South America and the Windward Islands. Another tropical wave equidistant from Africa and the Caribbean. Another tropical wave right here to the west of the Cabo Verde Islands. And we see the ridge of high pressure to the north that we know is responsible for sending all of these tropical waves from east to west. Not to mention all of the Saharan dust from Africa across the main development region as well. Taking a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost sunlight, we can actually make out, hold on, Squid Game, we can actually make out some of the clouds associated with the trough that's currently affecting Florida, northeastern Gulf. We can also make out the clouds associated with the tropical wave. Definitely weak for sure. Yes, it did pass over Jamaica today, but it was more so eastern and northern parishes that got in on the brunt of the rainfall. Apparently another tropical wave is somewhere in here. Another tropical wave is somewhere in here. Definitely hard to see them given how dry the air is for sure. Tropical waves have been struggling for sure this year. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Monday, June 30, 2025. It was stated that rainfall could have been in the forecast of parts of eastern Jamaica on Monday morning, also affecting sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes during Monday afternoon. And we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew. Central parishes, you know, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While western parishes, you know, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? As early as 11:21 a.m., the visible satellite images were posted not only here on our Twitter page with Jamaica, but it was also posted on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can see the visible satellite images right here. Clouds bring some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers and thunder showers. The section of St. Thomas and Portland this morning, some of the activity pushing into sections of Kingston and St. Andrew. Then by afternoon, the infrared close-up satellite images were posted, and they highlighted the blues, the greens, the yellows, the oranges, reds that represents that cumulonimbus cloud covered thunderstorm activity across sections of St. Thomas, sections of Portland, sections of St. Mary, St. Anne as well. Most of the thunderstorms in there, we see the sparkling white dust that we know represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, pushing off towards the west. Definitely had some of that across sections of Hanover as well. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost sunlight, we can make out the cloud cover definitely pushing off to the west, most of which took place across northern Jamaica for sure. Even had a brief isolated shower in my part of St. Thomas this afternoon too. And if we take a look back at the infrared close-up satellite imagery, we can definitely make out where we had the thunderstorms across sections of some northern and western parishes for sure. So it was, yes, eastern, central, and western parishes, but it was more so eastern, northern, and western parishes, especially with that upper level wind shear from the southwest blowing those cloud tops off towards the northeast, definitely favoring more of the cloud cover to section of northern Jamaica. So we definitely had the thunderstorms across section of Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas for sure today. And if we take a look back at the infrared satellite, well, the live camera here from C Jamaica's YouTube channel at around 1:45 p.m., we can see that it was a general affair. Nothing significant taking place in terms of bad weather. You can definitely look on to New Kingston and see that it was definitely fair for the most part. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. And we definitely have some comments that came in today. We have one right here from Marcia Freeman stating, nice downpour here in Christiana, Manchester. Thanks for confirming. Even on our Instagram page, we had one Ryan._ stating, got rain in Hanover. Java444 restating, rain tearing out St. James. Thanks for confirming. We have Active 4081 stating, cloudy right now with the Jamaica. Nicola Daly stating, not in Portmore, no rains, lots of winds, cloud the sun. We have Randale Green sitting, good evening with the Jamaica. We got some rain in Brownstone St. Anne today. It's now partly cloudy skies. Dwayne Knight, Central Parish is still waiting, especially Manchester, Clarendon. Alright, thank you all for confirming what the weather is like today. Alright, so let us reload the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. Let us see what's happening right now. Alright, so it looks like the latest still image is showing 0125 UTC, which is actually 8:25 p.m. So this just came out 7 minutes ago, considering that it's 8:32 p.m. right now. As you can see, not much of anything across the island, definitely clear, just some white upper level cirrus clouds, and that's basically it. The Cuban radar glitched out. Okay, looks like it's back. A reload fixed it. So well, it looks like it's showing up to at least 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 7 p.m. Jamaica time. At that time, we saw some rainfall exiting the western coast of Jamaica. See the blues, we see the greens, we see the yellows represents light to moderate to some slightly heavy rainfall. The Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar and the Cayman radar on the other hand. Let us reload these. What are they showing? Not really seeing much of anything across northeastern Jamaica, but we do make out some rain bands right here passing to the north of us. Actually, we see some actual isolated shores affecting portions of Portland, if not the waters to the north of there. Not seeing much across southeastern Cuba, but we do see some isolated shores near portions of Haiti. The Cayman radar, on the other hand, not really showing much of anything across western Jamaica, but we do make out some light to moderate rainfall across sections of Cuba. Some isolated shores right here to the south of the Cayman Islands pushing towards west. Taking a look here at the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, we can clearly see that not much is taking place. People in their vehicles going about their business, nothing in the way of bad weather taking place. Real Cobra definitely chilling, and that should be the order of the evening, a fair evening for sure. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see the weather 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Tuesday, temperature should dip down to about 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Tuesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And we see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight oranges that represents maybe up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperature for the month of July. So we're heading into July now. So in June, the average temperature was 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 32.2 degrees Celsius. So 91 degrees Fahrenheit now, considering that we're heading into the peak of summer. That is about 32.8 degrees Celsius. So at least about 6.6 more degrees coming on it. We're in July now, so it's expected 32.8 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 32.8 to 34.8 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Tuesday. And we can see the conversion right here, but unfortunately we have some maintenance outage advisories here from my JPS Online Twitter page I will have to highlight. I know that we have to highlight these because you know that when we have power outages somewhere across the island, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, please let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Tuesday, July 1, 2025. We're referring to Providence in the parish of Hanover from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Also, we're referring to Shaw Castle in the parish of St. James from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. as well as Coffee Ground in the same area at the same time. We also have content to Hope Bay in Hanover from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., as well as Alma Camp Savannah in Westmoreland from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Fairfield Lincoln in Manchester from 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., and finally we have Ricketts Drive in St. Anne from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here: dress down, wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of keeping hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugary drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And we can see the abundance of dry air across the main development region into portions of the Caribbean. The dry air is responsible for keeping the atmosphere stable, making it harder for it to rain, making it harder for us to get storms. But what we like that we're seeing is a lot of moist air right here across the southwestern Gulf, well, across the southwestern Atlantic, across the Gulf, across the western and southern Caribbean, across the eastern portion of the main development regions, intertropical convergence zone, and the southern, all the way into Central America and the eastern Pacific. And that's what we like to see, because we know that the dry air keeps the atmosphere stable, but the moist air brings the cloud cover, the rainfall, all of which we need, that we get more water in our pipes. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast. So we're heading into July 1, 2, and 3. And yes, some Saharan dust should be passing through on July 1, but by July 2, it should be out of here. Some Saharan dust should be returning by July 3, but definitely less robust as what's going to be plaguing us on the first day of July. But look at that. Some Saharan dust definitely right behind it to be possibly affecting portion of the eastern Caribbean. So we see what's taking place. Saharan dust, then it dwindles, then Saharan dust, then it dwindles. That's what's going to be taking place for the next couple of days. And as such, we have some high wave heights. We have the high wave heights right here off the coast of Mexico, where we have that hurricane, that soon to be hurricane, anywhere from 2 all the way up to maybe 5-meter wave heights. We also have some high wave heights across the waters to the south of Jamaica, and that's because of the strong easterly winds that are expected. Anywhere we see the yellows, that's 25 to 30 knot winds, so it makes sense that the waves are going to be high down there as well. But if we zoom in on Jamaica, the highest waves seem to be to the south of St. Thomas, 2.4 meter wave height to the south of Clarina, 1.3 meter wave height, 1.3 meter wave height as well to the south of Westmoreland, 1 meter wave height to the north of Hanover, 1.2 meter wave height to the north of St. Anne, and 1.6 meter wave height to the north of Portland. And that's because of the strong easterly winds that are expected. We see the greens, we see the yellows, that's anywhere from 15 to 20 to 25 knot winds. And we also see where the air is going to be piling up tomorrow across especially sections of some western parishes. So that's where the low level clouds could become mid-level rain clouds, if not upper level cumulonimbus clouds. And with the upper level winds still coming in from the southwest, as you can see here, it's definitely going to be favoring more of that overcast sky activity across sections of some northern parishes, similar to what happened today when we had the thunderstorms. Most of those clouds are being sheared off towards the north. Regarding the actual rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 2 p.m. Jamaica time. And clearly both maps are in agreement that yes, some rainfall is expected across somewhere in Jamaica. The GFS making more sense, not showing much of anything across the east or the central areas, but more so the western areas. We're talking about sections of Hanover, Westmoreland. The Euro, on the other hand, showing rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. But we're going to be working with the consensus for western Jamaica. So look out for that afternoon rainfall out west. Even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps are showing that it's going to be raining somewhere in Jamaica in the next 24 hours. Yes, the GFS and the Euro were showing some rainfall across the far eastern end. We'll see how that actually plays out. We'll see if we actually get some rainfall into eastern St. Thomas, eastern Portland. And then by afternoon, clearly it's going to be across the western end for sure. We have the consensus. Euro even more robust with the rainfall totals. And whatever happens, we'll definitely take it. We are now in the month of July. We're back in a period of dry conditions for sure. Yes, the rainy season or the second rainy season from May and June are over. And boy, rainfall wasn't rainfalling at all. But we got some things and we're grateful. But we're back into July. Definitely a downward trend in the rainfall that's expected. There seems to be about 50 millimeters of rainfall in Kingston for the month of July. This seems to be around, let's say, 3.2 inches of rainfall in Montego Bay for the month of July. And whatever happens, we'll definitely take it because, boy, any rainfall we get in July, we'll take it. We're in a dry period. We're in a somewhat of a dry season for sure. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of July or for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com and that website to show that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. So you can do the math yourself. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us, according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go to the next one, John 68 hours. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. So we just looked at Tuesday's forecast. Now it's time to look at Wednesday, going all the way back to next week. And we can see that for Wednesday morning, not really much of anything across Jamaica, maybe some isolated shores across the far eastern end. Wednesday afternoon seems to be eastern, central, and western parishes with that rainfall. Let's see if the GFS is showing something similar. Wednesday morning, rainfall across the east and the north of Jamaica. Then Wednesday afternoon is going to be rainfall across mainly central and western parishes. That's what Thursday morning is showing. Thursday morning, not really showing much. Thursday afternoon, maybe some isolated shores out west. Let's see what the GFS shows. Thursday morning, nothing. Thursday afternoon, and nothing at all. Interesting. That's what Friday morning shows. On Friday morning, not really seeing much. Friday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across central and western parishes. What does the GFS show? Friday morning, nothing. Friday afternoon, let us see, what does it show for Friday afternoon? Doesn't seem like much of anything at all. Why, these days are gonna be dry. Saturday morning, what do we see? Not really seeing much. Saturday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across central and western areas. Let us see what the GFS shows. Saturday morning, nothing. Saturday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across central and western areas too, so we have some consensus. Also, we need to highlight what could be the next tropical storm that's gale to the south of Mexico. We don't see it on the Euro though, but we'll see how that actually plays out. Sunday morning, what do we see? Maybe some isolated shores out east and to the south of us. Sunday afternoon, let us see, what do we see? Some rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. And we're going to be stopping right here at the end of the 1 John 68 hours. So this is valid for Monday, July 7. Maybe some isolated shores to the south of us. What does the GFS show? Sunday morning, nothing. Sunday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across some northern and western parishes. And we're stopping it right here at the end of the 1 John 68 hours. So this is valid for the next 7 days as well. And we see some rainfall across especially the eastern end of the island. And whatever happens, we'll definitely take it. Either way, in terms of the total accumulated precipitation for the next 7 days, we still see that the brunt of the rainfall should be expected across northern South America into Central America. That's where we have the dark reds into the purples and the pinks that represents 2 all the way up to 5 inches of rainfall. So those areas could definitely getting on some isolated flash flooding, while other areas that are shaded in the greens, yellows, oranges, and reds, like the Bahamas, Florida, the Greater Antilles, and the Lesser Antilles, should definitely be getting in on an inch of rainfall or less. And if we take a look at Jamaica's total accumulated precipitation for the next 7 days, the Euro is adamant that the far eastern end should be picking up the most rainfall, up to 46 millimeters. Central and western parishes with the blues and the greens, that's anywhere from 5 all day to maybe 20 millimeters of rainfall. GFS is more adamant that the most rainfall should be across western Jamaica in the bright greens, 25 maybe up to 30 millimeters. GFS definitely dwindling. Yesterday it was showing something in favor of what the Euro was showing. No, it is not. We'll see how this actually plays out. Either way, in terms of what's happening across the rest of the Caribbean, we still have that upper level low situated across a portion of the Bahamas. We see where the upper level clouds are turning. We have a trough somewhere in here, like what the surface map showed. You can still make out those low to mid-level clouds pushing through the Caribbean. That tropical wave that crossed over Jamaica today. Nothing really significant taking place at this time. And we have the Doppler radar images right here to confirm it. To see what's happening near Puerto Rico, maybe some isolated shores out east. Loading these images from earlier today, maybe some isolated shores out west in Puerto Rico as well. Regarding the Barbados radar, look at that northeasterly flow of the more nice light to moderate rainfall coming into portions of Martinique as we speak. Not really seeing much affecting St. Lucia, but it looks like it could change as the evening progresses. We also see some rainfall passing through the Grenadines, pushing towards Grenada, and even portion of Trinidad and Tobago later on. And regarding the weather via Doppler radar images, we can definitely make out that rainfall across Florida, sections of Cuba, section of northwestern Guatemala, Honduras, Colombia, northern Venezuela. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, we can clearly see the most rainfall is going to be across section of northern South America, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, section of Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula, Florida, section of the Bahamas, Cuba. We can also see some isolated shores in store for portions of Hispaniola, section of the Leeward and Windward Islands, section of Jamaica as well. And we clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.